Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. So in WWE Evolve, of course, it features many matches. Sam Holloway finally gets his opportunity, gets hands on Cj Valor. As you know, the Mog Squad has been nothing but problems to the 1.0 version of the ID guys. So Sam Holloway, as you know, has been dealing with Cj Valor. Well, he finally gets his opportunity. James Cutler once again tries to prove his dominance as a solo person away from Dark State, but also putting in Dark State's presence. But he also made it perfectly clear what his true intentions are. And of course, the main event is the Women's Evolve Championship. Thea Hale gets an opportunity against Nikita Lyons for the championship. So we'll see how that plays out too. Now, in AEW Dynamite, as you know, we continue with more of the Continental Cup, with more of the quarterfinals. So the real question is who will be going. So we'll be sticking like this, like glue, to find out exactly how things will be progressing. But a lot of things have been taking, as you all know. We are on the road to All In London, so buckle up on that too. And then, of course, as always, we wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates. Give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We can, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We can, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We're going to, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We've been, of course, got the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers, let's get started. So let's begin with WWE Evolve. Okay, WWE Evolve. We open up with our first match, which is a singles action. Cj Valor of the Mod Squad taking on Sam Holloway. Now, Sam Holloway requested this match, of course, because as you know, the ID guys 1.0 had to deal with the Mod Squad with their shenanigans and all this other stuff. But of course, wherever he goes, Cj Valor, the Mod Squad will be trying to get involved. But Sam Holloway was able to wipe out both Riveri and Bali, and just like that, things were okay. But of course, that leads to one more pain in the butt, and that is Max Abrams. So thank God Holloway took care of him. But too bad for Cj Valor, because he should have known that Holloway was a one-man wrecking crew, and that's exactly what he did when he took out Valor with a choke slam, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, boom, Adios, it was over. Now, Harlem Lewis, as you know, put out a bit of a video promo explaining that he survived the fatal four-way match where he defended his Evolve championship against not one, not two, but three other competitors. And then, of course, all this and that. So the real question we ask ourselves, who would be next? Now, our next match, we have Cutler James of Dark Order, who we have been seeing recently making appearances, and he faces against Marcus Mathers. Now, no denying for those who follow Marcus Mathers in the independents, he's extremely talented. He's a very impressive wrestler. But however, Cutler James is determined to prove his dominance in Evolve, and that's exactly what he did. He applied like what I think is more like a hijack bomb, which is the same kind of move that Utami Hayashida have normally used in the past, and that plays out pretty well. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, Adriana Rizzo actually had a little chat with them outside the ring, of course, acknowledging that he is currently undefeated in Evolve. But the real question she asked, does he have any intentions of going for the Evolve Championship? Cutler James said he does have the intention for that, but he's going to wait it out. So he's going to build his time. So the real question is when? Well, you'll just have to wait and see about that. Now, Cj Valor, as you know, well, let's just say that right now she has entered a war against Lanie Luck after she took her out by whacking a chair onto her knee. But Cj Valor, as you know, is basically awaiting for her till she makes her move, but also acknowledging the fact that her ambition is once again the Women's Evolve Championship. That means she will be going, if once she deals with Lanie Luck, she'll be coming for the Evolve Women's Championship, which she has been aiming for since day one. So we'll see how that plays out too. Now, Holly Riggins put out a video promo talking about all this, how he had to be in a team and all this, and that kind of explains a whole lot about himself, and in that order, you know what I mean? So he talked about his involvement with the PC guys, Cam leaving to go to, of course, to NXT. Riggins out of action. I mean, not Riggins. Forgot what's his name. His partner. So yes, basically he's going solo at the moment. Now we did see a bit of a vignette with Shido Ash and Victor Zonoff. As you know, they're showing their dominance, who they really are, and I think they're putting the entire Evolve locker room on notice. Now, Kale Dixon and this hottie, I don't know who she is, were in fact talking to, of course, the foreman Timothy Thatcher about his match that he had with his Gall. He is considering it as a fluke, but however, of course, he told him, look, if you think that was a fluke, let's see how you feel about facing Chad Starboy Hall next week. So basically, he's going to see how that plays out. But however, of course, Xena Sterling decided, since she tells, look, I was part of the winning 8-woman tag team match, I deserve an opportunity to face someone. So the foreman puts out, of course, Layla Diggs. So that pretty much tells it all. So that would happen possibly next week. Now, our next match, we have the Women's Evolve Championship. Thea Hale is our challenger facing Nikita Lyons. Things were looking well, but of course, the one thing that really was troubling is the fact that Sloane Jacobs is on the side of Nikita Lyons. That's always been the very X factor. But not to mention in the VIP lounge, we have Veronica Haven and Gianna Capri who are there, because we know that they are both probably aiming for the Evolve Women's Championship and all this and that. And not to mention they got themselves involved. But however, Anya Rune, who had her issues with them, decided to apply her enemy powers, but it did not work. While that did not work, she had her back turned. Both, of course, Haven and Capri were attacked by both Ren Sinclair and Skylar Ray. And of course, when Anya turned around to see them on the ground, she thought that she did that herself. So I thought it was very funny. But however, because of the situation that goes on that side of the ring, of course, what the referee did not see is that this match would have won by Thea Hale, but however, she got distracted. Nikita Lyons was tapped out, but Sloane Jacobs eye gouged Thea Hale, and then of course, once again, the roundhouse kick onto Thea Hale by Nikita Lyons, and then just like that, 1, 2, 3, boom, she retained the championship. So we'll see what happens next week on Evolve. So as of right now, let's move on to our last review, and that is, of course, AEW Dynamite. Okay, sorry, my bad. AEW Dynamite. Now, as you know, we are on the road to All In, so that kind of sets it up right there. Now, we opened up with Will Ospreay teaming up with his buddies from New Japan, the United Empire, more specifically Francisco Akira and Henare. They take on, of course, members of the Don Callis family, consistent of Rocky Romero, uh, Lance Archer, and Brian Cage. Now, for this, as you know, the Don Callis family has been interfering in between the match between both Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. So basically, Kenny will deal with certain members himself, along with the Elite, of course. But however, Will Ospreay has to contend. But we did see a bit of a hostile fight between Henare and Lance Archer and all this. But however, it was Will Ospreay that took out Rocky Romero when he got a little too cocky and comfortable, thinking he had everything under control. He got the hidden blade, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Will Ospreay and the United Empire picked up the win. Now, we did see a bit of an interview with Okada. Now, obviously, we know what's going on. Basically, of course, Okada is involved in that three-way match for the AEW International Championship against Fletcher and, of course, Takeshita. So, however, he did stated that if he wins, at least the belt goes directly still to Don Callis' family and that sort of thing. And of course, he said that he would like, if he does win, he wants, of course, Kyle Fletcher to raise his hand to show some respect, that sort of thing. This is the kind of cockiness we have seen with Okada in the past. But the real question is, what does Fletcher have to say about this? Well, Fletcher, as you know, let's just say he may or may not have a problem with what Okada had to say. But the one person that both he and Okada, of course, both can agree upon, that they hate Takeshita, being a narcissistic whatever they think of him. But however, Kyle Fletcher actually learned the hard way that Takeshita was not going to forget what he did to him when he turned his back on him. And he took him out with a knee strike, saying to him he'll be taking that belt off of him. So we'll see where that goes until we get to All In. Now, we did see a bit of a sit-down interview between both competitors for the AEW World title in All In, Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Now, of course, obviously we all know their history dates back all the way to New Japan and all this and all that. This is something they've been doing. However, when things were getting a bit of intense, Kenny Omega decided to step over the line by saying something about Will Ospreay's son, and Ospreay, of course, did not like that one way or the other. This was something, of course, that many people should know, that Kenny is the kind of person who would try to push someone's button, and of course, that's exactly what he did. Now, our next match is the TBS Championship in a fatal four-way match. The former champion Hikaru Shida versus the current CML Women's World Champion Persephone, and former double champion Chris Statlander, who was both TBS and then, of course, AEW World Champion, versus the current champion, Maya World. So you can tell how this was going to be. However, Persephone did state it recently in an interview where she thinks that what happened to her with Hikaru Shida was not an accident. She thinks that Shida did this intentionally. I mean, she's been known to stab people in the back. I mean, evidently we saw that with Chris Statlander, which is obviously. But of course, in the end, we did see Maya World was able to pick up the win when she somehow countered Wednesday Night Fever on by Chris Statlander, and then just like that, 1, 2, 3, boom, she retained the championship. So that's how it ended there, folks. Now, the Brawling Birds, as you know, they put out a video about, of course, as you know, that they're happy with the fact that they will be having their London moment at All In, of course, and looking forward in facing off the Dominion for the AEW Women's World Tag Team belts. But however, they stated something very interesting. If you guys remember, 2 weeks ago, about a week ago, they attacked them from behind. But of course, the Brawling Birds tried to do the same thing, but they were trying to put Mega Bane through a table, and they saw fear in their eyes. So the Brawling Birds are not saying, you guys have fear. You say you're dominant and fearless, but you're not. You're afraid. And they're going to exploit that weakness. And that's something I'm sure the Brawling Birds are going to use that very carefully. Now, our next match is part of the Continental Cup quarterfinals. We have Jay White versus Jon Moxley. So basically, this was a match that Jay White was looking forward to it. But of course, Jon Moxley was aiming for the injured neck by Jay White, and hopefully that would be the one thing that would be the deciding factor. However, Jay White has been known to counter every move that his opponents. I mean, he does this every single time. But however, he could not counter the choke hold by Jon Moxley, and just like that, the referee had no choice but to stoppage, and just like that, Jon Moxley wins the match. However, during the post-match, the Dogs showed up and attacked from behind. Even the Conglomeration showed up to deal with them. And then, of course, Gabe Kidd. Then we did see Roderick Strong, Brodito, and Hangman. All this. However, it seems that the Hangman had something to say. He even said to Claudio, "Hey, nice boots, dumbass." So basically, he had something to say. However, Ricochet, who likes to butt in people's business, along with Lethal and Twist and all this. But however, of course, he's saying that they're not going to miss the opportunity and all in. So they said that they will put the AEW World Trios Championship on the line. But they're looking for competitors who would do it. So he's telling those around him, saying, you guys, will meet you there. I know that the man will love nothing more to get those titles back, because they claim that those belts were stolen. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens until then. Now, Maya World had an interview with Renee Paquette, of course, recognizing that she was successfully able to retain the TBS Championship. However, Willow Nightingale showed up and told her, look, I kept my word saying that if I did win the AEW Women's Championship, you get dibs. And that's exactly what she said she's going to do. That's going to happen this coming Saturday in Collision. So we'll see about that. Now, Jonathan Grush, who is his personal translator for MJF, had some things to say in Spanish towards Andrade, telling the world that Andrade is not fit to be champion. He doesn't deserve to be the AEW champion, and he said he's going to eliminate him before he gets to, of course, All In. And of course, Andrade ended up showing up in a match against John Cruz. You can say this match was a squash. He took him out with the DM, and just like that, it was over. But during the post-match promo, well, MJF, who was not present there, was relaxing in the pool somewhere in Jersey, telling exactly to Andrade what he thinks of him. So you probably can guess that all things is going to be interesting from there on. Now, Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné had some exchanges to say, even though they were separate from each other. But, however, we did see things got escalated. It turned into a brawl between the two of them, which went from the back to the front, and security even tried to intervene to separate them. And, of course, things just like that happen. Now, as you know, Hangman Adam Page laid out the challenge for whoever will be the team that would challenge him, Bandito, and Brody for the AEW World Trios. Well, it seems Strickland has been paying attention. But I think many of us are asking ourselves who will be his partners. But the one thing I do know for sure in this matter, Ricochet is not going to like this, because he's telling him, hey, Swerve, mind your own damn business. This does not concern you. Now, we know that Ricochet and Swerve have been at it with each other for a long time, but we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, our next match is part of the AEW Continental Cup quarterfinals. We have Nigel McGuinness versus Eiji Seto. Now, Nigel, of course, was injured recently in a match, so basically that sets it up, but he has his injury shown completely, which is a target, which exactly Eiji Seto even did. He targeted completely, but however, Nigel somehow survived it by putting Eiji Seto in a guillotine headlock, and just like that, it was over. He proceeded even further. Now, Tony Schiavone was attempting to interview Kevin Knight, but however, Kevin Knight's like, I'm not having it. So he called out Darby Allin and all this and that. But however, what Darby Allin had no idea, Kevin Knight finally laid a trap on him by using fireworks to blind him and hurt him, and then he beat him up completely. Even Stephen Borden showed up, of course, tried to make sure Darby Allin was okay, but Stephen wanted to get a piece of him, all that. Because he's telling, and then of course Kevin Knight told him, to Stephen, don't believe a crap that he says. So, of course, we'll see what leads that to. Now, our main event, of course, is the Don Callis family, consistent of El Clone, Jake Doyle, and Mark Davis taking on the Elite, of course, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. You can tell this match, as you know, that Don Callis once again tried to intervene in Kenny's business once again, just like he did with Will Ospreay. But however, it was Kenny Omega that picked up the win onto Jake Doyle with the One-Winged Angel, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 was over. But however, in the post-match, while other members of the Don Callis family attacked the Elite in retaliation, and then Christian Cage and Adam Copeland showed up, so basically all hell broke loose. And then Will Ospreay showed up, who was not happy with the fact what Kenny Omega said about his son. Well, let's just say things got way too much personal, and Kenny Omega put Will Ospreay through a table. But the real question is, will he be 100% as we get to All In? Well, we'll just have to wait and see when that happens. But as of right now, we are done for today with all reviews. Let's wrap up our episode with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events, starting with, of course, GCW. As you know, we have the No Signal in the Hills that will take place on the 12th in Los Angeles. They just announced, of course, San Diego's very own Zara Zacher makes her return. And then, of course, as you know, they'll be making their way to Cincinnati on September 26th. For the Score, they just announced Corrine Joy will be participating. Now, another new show has been added, of course, for this, called The Crossroads, that will happen in Indianapolis on the 7th of November. Excuse me. Now, CML has announced the upcoming show known as Lucha Kingdom that will happen soon on the 16th of November, and they got talent from both Stardom and New Japan to participate. Now, this is who they got. Let me pull it up for all of you. So we have Shuri, Sho, Doiki, Master Wato, Yo, Francesco Kira, Kushida, Taiji Shimori, El Desperado, Shota Umino, Zack Sabre Jr., and Yoto Tsuji. So these are the names that have been mentioned. Now, I'm sure there'll be more Stardom talent will be involved, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, on to our developments here. Well, we got some good news for everyone. Ruby Soho, well, it's been announced by Fightful Select that it's now been confirmed that she is cleared for her in-ring return. Now, this happened a couple of months ago. It's still unclear when she'll be happening. Now, we know that she was out on injury. She was pregnant with her first child with Cool Hands, forgot his name, but yes, but we have seen photos of her marriage and the birth of her child, that sort of thing. So I'm very happy for her. Now, Road Dogg Cj James, many of you know him from part of the New Age Outlaws. As you know, he recently left WWE, but he did reveal saying that, well, he said, I don't know if this is 100% true, that AEW have turned him away. Now, he thinks that the reason of this was because of his political beliefs. Now, we haven't heard anything from AEW if that's true or not. I highly doubt that this has some political views, but however, I don't know exactly. I mean, if we can hear from someone from AEW, if they could explain to us what exactly was the reason they turned them away. But hopefully we'll see. But as of right now, we are done with everything, so let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, well, since it's Thursday, we have Ring of Honor, because there will be These guys will be 24 hours away before we head to Death Before Dishonor. I haven't decided what plan it's going to be for that, but we'll see. And then, of course, we have TNA as they're on the road to Lockdown. I can't wait to review that. That's going to be a fun event. And then probably we got more news updates for all of you. So we'll see how things roll up from there. But so that's the initial plan. However, for the special episode, please be patient with me. I know I haven't done any New Japan or Stardom. I'm trying to do the best I can to catch up and do that separately. So we'll see how things go from there. But as of right now, that's pretty much the plan. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I'm as bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.